So this is the 3 last remaining frozen yacon plants. They got completely smooshed in the hard frost we had a couple of weeks ago, but that doesn't pose any problems to the tubers or the rhizomes below. So I'm going to dig up with this one here, number 8, and see what we've got at the bottom of it. And I'm going to primarily talk about harvesting, nice ways I found to harvest them, and storage. So, to begin with, obviously we cut them down, and then I use oh shit, I got the phone positioned rather precariously on top of a kilner jar on a plastic box, so yeah, that might happen a little bit. I hope that was where it's supposed to be. Yeah. So I use I don't know what this is called, rather nice copper-headed device to dig around. I planted the yacon about 10 centimetres below the ground, so I don't need to worry about any rhizome or tubers being there. So you want to kind of dig around to start with to clear the way. I'm going to pause this for a bit and then get back to you when I've done all that bit. So I was watching some videos yesterday, and they were from the States, and they were saying this is a tropical plant. So I'm in Wales, where it's pretty wet and not particularly tropical, and I get a great crop from my yacon. So I don't know if it's type or species. I've got some I dug up that look a bit purple, but they all have the same kind of leaves. So if you look here, I've dug down until I can see most of the tubers, and I can find their ends. So there's one that's quite deep down there, a couple more sticking out there. This one I've got the end here. I just snapped the end off, but there we are. So I like to get it so that I can see the tubers, and on this side there's just rhizome. There's nothing sticking out that I found yet. And then I'm going to take a fork, and unlike some of the folks I saw that just kind of pull it apart and rip them off, I like to gently ease it up from every side. So, and also keeping a listen out for tubers coming off, because I prefer not to snap them. So there's quite a big one there, so which I'm going to try and avoid, obviously. Oh. And the rhizome itself grows throughout the summer, and then when you dig it up you can split it into smaller ones. So, here it comes. Awesome. That's coming out quite nicely. I don't think I snapped any. So if I just pull, okay, there we are. And now once we've got it up, you can see, obviously there's lots of dirt in there that we want to get off. Now I take it down to a stream. I've got a stream in the garden, which is rather lovely. So but I don't have a sink or running water. So for me, I take it down to the stream to process it and to clean off the soil. And okay, so here we go. That's not a particularly useful piece of rhizome. Sorry, rhizome, don't take offence. There's a tiny little one on there, but even that could be planted up next year, and after a year or two it would become a big lump of rhizome. But I tend to just keep and plant the, well, I keep all of it, but I plant the ones that are about a small fist size onwards. But even the smaller ones will bring fruit. Oh god, I'm making a right mess of this, doing it one-handed. Okay, so another bit snapped off there. Okay, I'm going to take this down to the stream, and then we can start washing it. So I don't, obviously there's quite a lot of worms and creatures still in there. Being a bit of a softie, I don't want to wash all the worms into the river to die, because they're rather useful. So I've devised a shower system that's just a bit fun, really. Cold this time of year. So I just wash off as much of the soil here so that any creatures basically kind of go into the mud rather than the river. And take it to the river in a minute. So there's, look at that, awesome. There's the lovely yacons. I'm going to give the top a wash and then take it into the river and start breaking it up a bit. So with the yacons, generally if you just twist them, they come off quite nicely. Oh, that one, lovely. I tend to take the ones off that come off easily first, and then they often make room for the ones that don't come off so easily. So they're often all squished in there together. This is quite a good, you generally have got a lot of yacon. I'll show you in a minute all of the fruit that I've got so far, but yeah, generally they're quite amazing. Calorifically they're pretty useless. They're not they're not a nutritional substitute for anything really, but they're part of what I call my apocalyptic kitchen, so that should the day come that there aren't shops to buy lots of nice things from, once a year having a huge amount of sweet yacon syrup would probably be quite a treat. So I kind of, and also I make chocolate, so it's rather nice to have the syrup in the chocolate as well. And for diabetic people, of course, it's pretty awesome. So there, last year I stored it. We had a really cold spring, spring, and the inside of the rhizome that I stored got a bit rotten. So when I planted it, the first thing it did really this year was actually to increase its body. So I didn't get as much of a crop this year because I think it spent a lot of the time regrowing its core, its rhizomes. So, but also these things kind of fall together. So once I wash off some of this mud, it might come apart a little bit. I'll bring you down with me to see. So hopefully I won't have to drop my phone in the river or myself. Okay. So again, giving it a bit more of a rinse off in the river, and if you notice as I'm rinsing it and giving it a bit of a shake, the rhizomes are actually coming a bit looser. So I'm going to bring this up and give it a bit of a gentle ease apart. Don't quite know how I'm going to hold the phone and do this, but there we are. In fact, I'm not going to. I'm going to place you back on your little rather funky holder. So this is quite an interesting one, because actually for once the rhizomes and the yacon look a bit similar. But generally they've come apart quite easily, but this one seems to be actually pretty joined together. So here's a bit that's come off by itself, and that would be worth planting up. And I think I might leave this one together, because generally they feel, when they want to come apart, they just come apart. It's almost like they haven't really joined together properly. It's just the roots all tangled that hold it together. But here you can see these bits are what grow next year. Not all of them, but the strongest and the healthiest ones are what grow up and make the new shoots for the next year. So I think last year some of these I left and they rotted down into the rhizome, so I'm tempted to cut them quite short this year just to see if that makes a difference. But there. And that's the crop from one yacon plant, and I'll take you now and show you what I've got from my other 7 plants. So this is the yacon crop that I've. Sorry, these are just dandelion roots. But yeah, so this is the crop of yacon that I've got this year, and if you notice, there are these more purpley ones, but it may just be they were exposed to the sun. So yeah, there's a pretty hefty crop. This was 7 plants, and all of this will juice down, I would imagine, to about 1.5–2 litres when I finished. But this is the so this was seven hefty rhizomes. Again, this is a real massive one that didn't want to break up any smaller. So you can see there's my hand. It's kind of bigger than my hand. It's quite a monster, and they all came out like this big. but then broke into much more manageable. So this is what I would say is a kind of a good size to replant next year, all of these ones. But I do need to get them in storage because they're getting a bit dry. I don't want them to dry up. And again, you know, quite a hefty one that didn't come apart. But generally most of them, so one rhizome I dug up the other day broke down into 7, about this size and a bit smaller. So yeah, you can see there's a huge amount to be grown next year. So it's very much a crop that you can give to your friends and spread it out. And the friend that gave me my original, I don't know, 4 or 5 plants, hers all got frozen this winter. So she's asked me if I can give her some back, which is rather nice. So the more people you distribute them to, the more chance there are of them remaining and propagating, because obviously if all mine die, I've got more friends that I can return to, should I need that apocalyptic sweetness. Okay, so I hope this has been useful, and see you again. Bye bye.